Well, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. Coach Kevin Sparks here, and let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'd like to do is go ahead and share my screen with you and point out some things that should be helpful. First thing I would like to point out, as in addition to the meetup, we have a Facebook group that coincides with the meetup. It's our partner group, which has the same name, Live Law of Attraction, Money, Wealth, and Success Training. And we'd love to invite you to come join us. How do you do that? Just log into your Facebook account, go to wherever your search function is, and type in Live Law of Attraction, Money, Wealth, and Success Training, and you can find us there. The other way you can get to us is you can go directly to facebook.com/groups, that is plural, /money manifesting coach. So that is facebook.com/groups, that's plural, money manifesting coach as one word. Now, why would you want to join us? Well, first of all, if let's say, for instance, today is your first day with us and you like what's going on and we talk about something, you're like, oh, that was really cool. I want to go through that again. Well, as long as I remember to record the meetings, which I typically do, typically within 24 to 48 hours, they'll be posted here in the group. So as you can see, for instance, right here, that was yesterday's training, and here it is available to you. So today's training within 24 to 48 hours will be available to you, okay? What would be the other reason you would want to? Well, let's say that you're able to make it on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, but for some reason you can't make it on Thursday, but you can come back on Friday. Well, if you happen to miss something, you can go back and go through it, so you actually don't have to miss anything. What you would miss is the ability to interact with us, but you would at least get the gist of what it is that we're going through and the training that you're receiving. The other thing that you would want to do, though, is also the other reason to join our group is we, from time to time, for instance, we had a discussion, I'll point it out here, for instance, we had a discussion this past Friday where we skipped off of the material we were going through. We took so you'll be able to get the materials that you need, whether you were there for the day or not. Now, speaking of materials that you would need, I want to share with you right now what it is we're actually going through. We're going through a book right now called Hidden Treasures. I happen to own it as a paperback on Kindle, on Audible. So I own it multiple ways. I've read it several different times in my life, and it's made a positive impact. However, I found out how to get a free copy. The author of this book is actually a friend of mine. Her name is Leslie Householder. How are we friends? Why are we friends? Well, we both have been trained to be coaches and facilitators for law of attraction training by a gentleman by the name of Bob Proctor. Now, if you don't know who Bob Proctor is, you may have heard of his book, You Were Born Rich, or maybe you know Bob Proctor because you've watched the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, where he's heavily highlighted. But Bob Proctor has been in the personal development field now training people for nearly 60 years. He's going to turn 87 years old this July. Congratulations, Bob. And he's been helping people understand how their mind works, how the laws of the universe work, and how to reprogram our subconscious mind for a long time now. And again, both Leslie and I have been trained by him. We're both independent coaches at this point, and Leslie wrote this book called Hidden Treasures. What I love about the book is it is actually a very good description of the laws that govern manifesting more money and wealth in your life, as well as the other things you would want to happen in your life. A lot of people have heard of law of attraction, but they don't necessarily, or they aren't necessarily aware that that is actually a secondary law to the law of vibration, which the law of attraction falls under. What people also don't know are there are essentially 7 different laws specifically related to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. And if you don't know how they function and you're not even aware that you're breaking them, you get yourself into trouble. If you know how they function and you obey them, you actually very easily, a lot more easily than you've been struggling with at this point, end up manifesting what you want. So the way to get a free copy of this book is to just go to hiddentreasuresbook.com, hiddentreasuresbook.com. And if you scroll down a little ways, you click here where it says click for your free download. That's exactly where you want to go to get it. Okay. And we are currently on page 65 of the PDF file out of 115 pages. And we're actually all the way into lesson number 4. So there are previous lessons. Okay. Every one of these laws are important. Let me discuss law really quick, whether we understand it or not. We could hurt ourselves or we could use it to our advantage. But let's take a little child. Let's take a toddler, for instance. If a toddler goes crawling across the floor and kind of lifts himself up by a stove that has the burner on, or let's say the burner was on just a few minutes ago, somebody removed the pot and it was on boil originally, but now it's only sat for less than 2 minutes. If that little child touches the burner, even though the child is completely innocent, has not done anything wrong, is there a consequence of touching that burner? Absolutely. The baby is going to probably get hurt. Okay, let's take another one. Again, a baby. And the reason I'm saying baby is in some ways we are babies when it comes to understanding the laws that govern manifesting what we want. And as babies, we tend to make mistakes unintentionally. We don't make mistakes on purpose. We don't try and hurt ourselves. But let's say a baby climbs up onto a chair and then climbs from that chair up onto a counter and starts crawling across the counter. Let's say it's one of those big islands in the kitchen. If the baby keeps going across to the other side and doesn't stop, there is a law of gravity that's going to take effect. And what is going to happen is that baby is going to crawl off the end and fall. And the level of hurt that that baby experiences will be probably dependent on multiple things. What is the floor made out of? Okay, how high up did the baby fall from? And what part or parts of the body did the baby hit on the floor when it landed? Now, if the floor is carpeted, which is highly unlikely in a kitchen, it'll probably be less painful than if it is tile or if it's wood, right? And if the baby crawls off and it's, let's say, 3 feet high or 2.5 feet high, whatever, versus if it's 4 feet high, which is going to probably hurt less. Again, though, there's a law. There's a law of gravity that takes effect. Baby's innocent, doesn't understand, and the baby gets hurt. That's happening to almost all of you right now. It was happening to me for sure because I didn't understand the laws and how they interact with each other. But once I learned the laws and how they interacted with each other, I had a big jump in my success. I needed to learn the laws. And the second thing I needed to learn was how to reprogram my subconscious mind to align with what it is that I wanted. I'm not going to go deep into the subconscious mind today. You can actually go back to 2 Fridays ago, I believe, and you can find a big discussion on the subconscious mind there. Okay. But for the moment, we're going to jump right in where we left off yesterday with lesson 4, the law of polarity. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we like to leave 10 to 15 minutes towards the end for interaction with everybody. That'll be your opportunity to ask whatever questions you want to ask or share whatever it is that you like to share. So right now I'm going to get a nice sip of water, hopefully keep my mouth wet for a little bit here, maybe taking a few sips here and there. Okay, I'm going to jump right in and get rolling where we left off yesterday. Lesson 4, law of polarity. In the last chapter, I mentioned that something would get in the way to thwart your plans. Here we will talk about just how to think when that happens. I hope by now you see the importance of guiding your thoughts. It is no less important when you're faced with opposition. In fact, it is most important to do when you are faced with opposition. When you find that how you should think during the challenging times isn't all that difficult, or excuse me, you will find that how you should think during the challenging times isn't all that difficult. It actually feels good because with the following information, you'll be able to be at peace in affliction and also know that how you're thinking is the exact right way to think, and that by doing so, you are qualifying yourself for the potential good that it has to offer. The law of polarity states that everything, and I mean everything of consequence, has an opposite. It's a law. You can't fall 6 feet down from only being 4 feet up. You can't turn left without coming from the right. Yes only exists because no does too. Otherwise, it would be meaningless. Speaking of meaningless, did you know that you can't poke an eye out? You can poke it in, but you can't poke it out. I suppose you could reach up your nose and poke it out, right, Ken? Ken's a friend of Leslie's. The point is, no pun intended, there is no such thing as in if there were no out. These are all opposites: good, bad, dark, light, male, female. Each one is meaningless without the other. It has been said in this way: the divine shepherd has a message of hope, strength, and deliverance for all. If there were no right, we would not appreciate, or there were no night, we would not appreciate the day, nor could we see the stars and the vastness of the heavens. We must partake of the bitter with the sweet. There is a divine purpose in the adversities we encounter every day. They prepare, they purge, they purify, and thus they bless. It is important for us, or important to realize that the experiences that we call unfortunate are, in every case, good for us. If they're not the more obvious feel-good blessing, they are character-building experiences. We'll get through our trials. If we don't give up, we'll conquer. In all things. If not so, my firstborn in the wilderness, righteousness could not be brought to pass, neither wickedness, neither holiness nor misery, neither good nor bad. Wherefore, all things must needs be compounded one. The law of polarity also declares that everything has an opposite that is of equal degree. In other words, if it is very, very far to walk from Los Angeles to Phoenix, then it is equally very, very far to walk from Phoenix to Los Angeles. So as long as the elements of the situation remain constant, there will always be two perspectives from which to view it. In this case, the direction of travel is the only difference. It is the same distance both ways. There are basic elements of any situation, but the situation itself is never fundamentally good or bad. We talk about this in lesson 2. As we learned by the law of relativity that things are only good or bad relative to something else, In this lesson, we learn that things have within them both good and bad. When you experience a bad situation, then the law of polarity assures you that there is within it something good. By the way, if you're typing things into chat while we're doing this right now, I'm not paying attention to it. Don't think that I'm just being a jerk and ignoring you. I always do this for right now, and then we leave 10 to 15 minutes at the end for you to ask whatever questions you want to ask or share whatever you would like to share. So there'll be the appropriate time to go ahead and do that. So if you have a question, just go ahead and write it down and we will get it answered for you in a little bit. If something is a little bit bad, then it is only a little bit good. If something is catastrophic, then you can be sure that there is within it something phenomenal. Opposite, equal and opposite. Napoleon Hill, One of the most quoted authors from the 20th century self-help literature said, every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. And that is from Think and Grow Rich. Suppose something comes along that seems insurmountable to you while you're in the pursuit of your goal. The worse it seems, the better it is, really. I believe that's one reason why the survivors of the Martin Handcart Company from Lesson 2 were able to feel privileged to have been part of the group. In their extremities, they became acquainted with God himself. I don't really get more acquainted with God when I stub my toe, you know? And what greater thing could we ever achieve than to know God? I don't mean know about God. I mean know him. Gideon and the Midianites. Consider the story of Gideon and the Midianites in Judges chapter 7. There is such a powerful lesson in this story to help you understand why obstacles are part of the process. Gideon was called to lead his army to conquer the Midianites. There were 32,000 men in his army, and the Lord told him that he had too many. Too many? Who wouldn't want too many? You ever look at your situation and think, it'd sure be nice if I had more going for me? The Lord told me to find out who in his army was afraid to go to battle. What he was told to do with those who were afraid, they were to be sent away. But aren't sheer numbers an advantage? Not if the numbers bring fear to the fight. Think about that. Not if the numbers bring fear to the fight. So he did, and he was left with 10,000. Once again, the Lord said he had too many. Why? Well, the Lord knew that if they went to battle with a large army and won, that they would pat themselves on the back for conquering the foe themselves. God wanted them to know, without a doubt, that he was responsible for their victory. God wants your victory. He wants you to know that you couldn't have done it without him. If the task was too easy, then when you conquer, you might think it was your strength alone that did the job. So the Lord told Gideon to take the men to the water and let them drink. Those who brought the water to their mouths with their hands he kept, while those who knelt to drink directly from the body of water were sent home. How many men were left to fight the battle? Only 300. Insurmountable odds. You feel like the odds are against you too? To me, water is symbolic in the scriptures for Christ. I was taught, come unto Christ, for he is the living water. In our pursuit of prosperity, I felt I should do as Gideon did with the little foot soldiers. I have in my head by sending the fearful ones away and then relying on Christ, the living water. By stratagem, God made Gideon victorious in such a clever way. The men were told to surround the Midianites at night with lamps inside their pitchers in one hand and a trumpet in the other. Upon Gideon's signal, they shouted together, broke their pitchers, and blew their trumpets. In the darkness, the groggy Midianites saw and heard all of the commotion and ended up confused, fighting against each other and fleeing away. Gideon had conquered without a single one of his men even being wounded. Your goal will be accomplished through God, most likely in a clever way as well. I've seen too many people give up on a goal because things get hard. I've even heard some say that everything went wrong, so that's a sign that it wasn't supposed to happen for me. Things will get hard. That's just the evidence you need to know that the reward is just that much closer. Satan always supplies opposition, and he tends to really give it all he's got right before the potential breakthrough in hopes we give up. Too often, too many of us do. I would show unto the world that faith is things which are hoped for and not seen. Wherefore dispute not, because you see not, or you receive no witness until after the trial of your faith. Keep in mind also that even if you don't get what you desire when you want it, consider that opposition and keep at it. Don't throw your knowledge of the laws away because something didn't happen according to your plan. Rest assured the reward will be just that much better for your patience. And that's exactly what I do when I ask for something and it helps
There's no sound, Kevin.
And if things take a little bit longer than I expected, I know God is at work behind the scenes with the universe to bring me, again, something even better than I asked for. And I'm going to tell you right now, 100%, that's been the truth of it every single time. I either end up with what it is I asked for, or I end up with something even better. My father taught me that God doesn't always come when you want him to, but he's never late. You'll learn more about that in our final lesson. Keep your thoughts focused on the desired result. In spite of the lack of evidence that it is coming, remember, as you hold on to your focused thoughts, the formless substance is gathering to cause your idea to materialize. And when an elephant sits on you, look for the blessing that will come out of it. You don't have to know what the blessing will be. Just know that it will be just exactly what it needs to be for your good. Trust that God knows best and won't lead you to misery, but joy greater than you can comprehend. As you look for the good in a bad situation, you will be preparing yourself to find and receive the good that is there. If you never look for it, you may never find it, and you could live your whole life only seeing and experiencing the bad. High achievers, those in life who live life abundantly, make this a habit. They look for good, and more good is realized. Your desired results always follow a trial of your faith. It is a test. What a thrill it is to pass the test. With patience. It's all good. All things will work together for your good. It might seem bad, but know that by the law of polarity, it is good too. Think about that part of it, and the worthy thing you desire will continue toward you. And if thou shouldst be cast into the pit, or into the hands of murderers, and the sentence of death passes upon thee, if thou be cast into the deep, if the billowing surge conspires against thee, if fierce winds become thine enemy, if the heavens gather blackness and all the elements combine to hedge up the way, and above all, if the very jaws of hell shall gape open the mouth wide after to thee, know thou that all these things shall give thee experience and shall be for thy good. If the sheriff comes after thee and takes thine house from thee, or if the utility company threatens to shut off thy water, or if thou conkest thy head on the corner of thy cupboard, it's all just part of the mortal experience. Do all you can do and trust that whatever happens is for your good. So-called failure isn't fatal. Take courage and face your problems head on. Do not run from creditors. Have the integrity to contact them first if there's a problem. Don't wait for them to be the ones to announce there is a delinquency. Integrity is foundational to these ideas. You must be committed to honesty in all your dealings. Compromise your integrity in the pursuit, or it will all come falling down. Live by law and it will set you free. Here's an interesting piece of information that I hadn't realized before. I've played with Lego blocks for more than 30 years and never knew what the name meant until I looked up the company to provide trademark credit for this book. Did you know that Lego comes from the Danish word legot, which means play well? In Latin, it means I put together. Both phrases beautifully embody the principles of building a better life on the creative plane. All right. So tomorrow we will hop in at lesson number 5 and come out of screen share here. And let's see. Audio has gone out. Hopefully it came back. Okay. I apologize, and hopefully it wasn't gone for too long. Can you guys hear me right now? I hope. Somebody
Yes,
say
right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's been internet work going on in our neighborhood for the last couple of days, so it's been a little bit spotty. All right. So here's what we're going to do at this point. This is our opportunity to share what we would like to share and ask the different questions that we would like to ask. So let me share with you what would be appropriate to do at this time. First of all, let's talk about sharing. So you can share anything in relationship to what it is we just went over this morning. Maybe you had an aha moment. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you were reminded of something that you already knew that you're like, oh yeah, oh my gosh. Like that's a good reminder. Or maybe you've been following this already and you're like, yeah, that's already how I look at life. You can go ahead and share that. You could also share anything in relationship. We've been together for about 4 weeks now. Anything in relationship to what we've gone over in the past 4 weeks. The other thing that would be really cool to share is anything in relationship to you intentionally utilizing the law of attraction to manifest something that you want in your life. You made the decision that you wanted something and it actually happened to come into your life. Those would be awesome things to share. Questions. Okay, what would be relevant and appropriate? Well, first of all, anything in relationship to what we just went over this morning or afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in. Okay. Anything in relationship to what we've gone over the last 4 weeks, or any questions in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So this is your opportunity to share. All you have to do is come off mute and start sharing what you'd like to share, or start asking whatever question you would like to ask. And then we'll just take in the order that you do that. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for the recording yesterday and posting it, since I missed that. So I watched that prior to this. And awesome. I have a question. So is the 300 list kind of a way to align yourself into being more aware of manifesting what you want, since you can add like basic things that can happen either tomorrow, today, within a week, mixed with like other like bigger things?
Yeah, there's multiple reasons to write down what it is that we want. Think of ourselves, think of your subconscious mind. God and the universe are going to respond to your vibration. And your thought creates a vibration, okay? But where does that vibration actually come from? Does it come from our conscious thought, or does it actually come from our subconscious thought? It actually comes from our subconscious thought, okay? So let's think of your subconscious mind right now as a garden of sorts, or it's more likely a big field acreage, okay? Because it can hold so much and do so much. But let's look at the mind, the subconscious mind, as soil, okay? As dirt, is somewhere where you can plant something and it'll grow. Doing this, the 300 list exercise, what that does is think of it as 300 different types of seeds, okay? But they're things that you want, okay? One seed turns into, I don't know specifically what you want, but one seed happens to be a particular model of Mercedes-Benz. One seed happens to be a vacation to Bora Bora. One seed happens to be flying first class or business class instead of coach. One seed happens to be, the type of food you like to eat, and so on and so forth, okay? So you've got these 300 seeds that you're putting into the soil. Well, here's the thing. If you're putting a seed into the soil and its opposite is already planted in there, you're going to struggle a little bit, okay? Maybe a lot, depending on how badly you've wanted what it is and how strong the other plant that's the opposite of it is, okay? But it can be changed. You can change it from whatever is growing there, the weed of what you don't want, the opposite of what you're asking for. So we'll call it the weed, but it's got strong roots possibly. Maybe it's even has roots of like an oak tree. At least that's what it feels like to you, because repetitiously you've been feeding that weed and now you're trying to put something in new. Well, chances are when you drop that seed right there, that one's not going to immediately sprout up into what you want. You're going to have to take more care of it, and you're going to have to work on nourishing it and taking out the weed, okay? But all the seeds that you have, let's say in that 300 list, that don't have something in opposition to them and don't need extra attention because your subconscious mind hasn't planted anything in opposition to them. I say planted, hasn't been allowed to be planted is better. Okay, subconscious mind doesn't do the planting. Stuff gets planted in it. Old seeds have already been put in the subconscious mind. But if you create this new list of 300 things, or whatever the number is, but 300 is the kind of the challenge that we talk about. Well, some of those seeds, just simply by being planted in the soil and given a little no attention, some seeds grow in a desert, okay? Like in Arizona. Some things will grow out there with very little water and really hard dirt, okay? And some things won't, but some will. And you don't really have to do anything hardly but toss a seed out there and it grows, bam. And then some of them need softer soil and more water and, you know, more nourishment, so to speak, to help it grow. But if you you put those seeds out into your subconscious mind of what you want. The cool thing about the 300 list is the stuff on there that's not in opposition. That's where Steve Harvey said, hey, at the end of the year, 10% will probably happen without you giving it much attention. So why wouldn't you do that? That means you're going to have 30 plus things probably that you really would like to have in your life show up, and you're not going to have to put a lot of effort and focus into having that happen. Now, to receive the things you want to have happen, it's going to take more. Okay. But that's what getting the programming and training and everything is about, is to show us how to, you know, supersede the weeds that have been planted in our mind. Because right now, if we don't have the money that we want, then there's a money weed in there. Okay. If we don't have the house that we want, there's a house weed in there. We don't have the relationship that we want, there's a relationship weed in there. There's these things that are in opposition to what we want. But absolutely 100% making that list is going to allow some of those things to manifest without a bunch of effort on your part. I had a couple things that I put on my list that surprisingly a lot of people think, oh my gosh, well, I didn't have anything in opposition, so it happened. There was a particular car that a business partner gave to me to drive that he paid for, and I drove it for 9 months, and all I had to do was basically cover, you know, the maintenance of it at the time. It was a $130,000 convertible BMW. That was something I wrote on there. It wasn't something I wanted really, really bad, but since I was trying to come up with 300 things that I wanted, that was on there. Another one was flying in a private airplane. Within a couple of weeks of putting out my, you know, it was part of my vision board at the time, putting that out there. A couple of weeks later, I end up running into someone and he says, hey, let's go. I'm a real estate developer. You're an investor. Let's go look at these properties. And by the way, meet me at the airport. I'm going to take you out of my private plane and we'll go look at them. I didn't have to struggle for that to show up in my life, because I didn't have anything in opposition in my subconscious mind to allow that to happen. Now, if I was thinking I had to go buy the airplane on my own to get that opportunity, there would have been a struggle at first, because my brain would have said, well, it costs this much to do this. But I don't focus on how to do stuff. I focus on what I want. You guys sometimes you won't even make up your mind what you want till you think you can figure out how you can get it. That seems forward to you, but that is backwards to how God and the universe operate. You decide 100% what you want, and you stay with that with the intention to have it be realized. And God and the universe and everything, eventually your subconscious mind, when it accepts that as your new program, and it allows that program, that plant to grow, it's going to dominate the old weed, and you're going to get what it is that you want. Is that helpful at all?
Yes, that's so helpful. And I love the garden analogy, and thank you for being so thorough with everything. I really appreciate it.
You're extremely welcome. Any other comments or questions?
That's true. When you said that, doing it backwards like that, I tend to do that, although I try to correct myself, but it still seeps in. So I can't wait till we work together and you can get that habit out of my head.
Yeah, well,
help me get it.
Yeah, it will. As we work through the group coaching that you signed up for, it's going to come to play. By the way, did you get the seminar finished yet?
Almost. I apologize. I was up till 1 a.m. working on it last night. I'm almost done with the packet.
Okay,
almost
awesome.
done with the packet. So
awesome, cool. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions or comments? Or do you guys already know all this stuff?
Well, in the beginning, oh, sorry.
Sunshine, how are you?
Hey, Sunshine, terrific. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. One part that I loved about the book today, and it really gave me confirmation, was when it was saying that sometimes when you're right where you're supposed to be, all that opposition and stuff comes at you, and just like don't give up. So that was really encouraging today.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. 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 And I know you're also going to be part of the group coaching with Michelle. Congratulations. And I know you've done some other training with me too. So I know that's probably helped out already.
Oh,
Thank
exciting.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other questions or comments? I'm here to help for a few more minutes at least, unless you want to call it good. It's up to you guys. Wow.
Everyone's shy.
I know. And I'm kidding around when I say, hey, then you must know it all and you should teach us. Actually, if you do know it, you should teach us, please. I'm not being this. That would be really cool if you've like got this all figured out and everything you want is showing up for your life. I don't know why you wouldn't take advantage of the opportunity though, because we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. Okay. I don't need to be here for my health. I'm
Hey, Kevin, it's Liz. Are you there?
I am here, Liz.
Oh, hi. I guess I had a question about vision boards.
Okay.
Do you do vision boards at all? I did one a long time ago and I haven't done one for a while. So I'm just wondering if you could touch on that a little bit.
So I know people that use them and I know people who don't. First of all, it's never going to hurt you. Okay. Here's what a vision board is really designed to do. It's not designed to stare at a picture. Okay. Okay. So there's a lifestyle. Every one of you has a life that you want to live. One you want to live, not necessarily the way I want to live. We're going to have definitely some stuff in common. Okay. But we also are going to branch off in the things that would bring us the most joy based upon our talents, gifts, abilities, and things that God's given us and our interests. But we have this life that we would really like to live. Okay. Well, I recommend that people, when they go into their meditation and their visualizing, you visualize your lifestyle as if it's real today, as if your wish has been fulfilled already, and live there. What is the vision board designed for then? Have a picture or two of the different aspects of your lifestyle, and that is a reminder or a trigger to you subconsciously about what it is you've already been working on and visualizing. But staring at a car or a house without actually feeling yourself living in the house or driving the car as if it's already true versus something in the future isn't going to do a whole lot for you. But if you remember in the movie The Secret, and if you haven't watched The Secret ever, man, go watch it. Okay. If you got access to Netflix, look up The Secret. If you don't have access to Netflix, find it on YouTube. There's one that's not really it. If you type in The Secret, I don't know why it's on there, but you can find a version of The Secret. It just maybe won't be in as good a quality. If you have Netflix, perfect, go watch it. But what John Assaraf, the one who made the vision board story so popular because he found himself living in a house that he put on his vision board. You got to listen to what these people are telling you behind it. And what he said is I would look at my board, but then I would go into my state of mind and live there. So the vision board's your reminder. Jack Canfield talks about putting a dollar bill on his ceiling, but writing in zeros and a comma and 2-3 more zeros to make it $100,000. So he put that on his ceiling, not because staring at a piece of paper with $100,000 written on it is going to bring you $100,000. He put it above his bed to remind himself to go into his meditation right when he wakes up for 10 to 15 minutes, and then right before he goes to bed for 10 or 15 minutes. Matter of fact, what he doesn't say in the movie, but I found out later on, is he took a 2 foot by 3 foot. I don't know what he made it out of, but he basically made a 2 foot by 3 foot fake, but for him, it was the reminder, $100,000 bill. Why did he put it so flippin' big? Because when he was looking, the small one, he'd miss it. It wasn't catching him and reminding him. He could not ignore a 2 foot by 3 foot on his ceiling $100,000 bill. So he never forgot to go through the process of visualizing and feeling the lifestyle of somebody who earned $100,000. See, but we don't hear that part in the movie. So the vision board is there to remind us of those things. What if we find pictures and things that we like that represent what we want in our life? Well, go take some additional time to live your life as if you're already using that thing you want. If there was an outfit, that you wanted, or let's say there's a $4,000 handbag that you want, right? You might be, my car's not even worth $4,000. Well, people have $4,000 if you want it. I'm not trying to tell you to want something you don't want, but if you want something, then take the time. If it's on your vision board, also take the time to put it into your vision for your life and see yourself doing that. And your subconscious mind is going to screw around with you a bit because it's going to say that's not normal for you. What you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind, I don't care any longer because I'm telling you what normal is going to be. I'm telling you now what your new normal is. And I'm not going to stop until you accept my new normal. You don't really fight with it. You do it in a peaceful way. But when it comes at you with, oh, that's bullcrap, you say, no, it's not. My life, this is bullcrap. That's for real. And that's what you should bring me. And you'll have those discussions with yourself to eventually your subconscious mind goes, you know what? If that's what's normal for you, I'm going to bring it to you. You realize that, don't you? Now it thinks it's going to hurt you because it thinks anything different than what it is now is scary and harmful. But once your subconscious mind doesn't think it's scary and harmful to you, and you convince your subconscious mind that it's normal for you, that it's actually your self-image, then your subconscious mind goes, okay, fine, then I'm going to bring it to you. And you're going to suffer the consequence of having a $4,000 handbag. There's going to be no consequence. Okay. There is no consequence for that. That's bad. Only if you put it bad, if you're like, oh, I'll lose all my friends, or what are people going to think about me? Your subconscious mind is going to play that game with you even before you receive it a little bit. So you got to be comfortable with what it is in your mind. So the vision board is essentially like putting that bill. It's like taking your 300 list and reading it each day, and it might take you 20 minutes to read a 300 list. It's not, but the idea is you don't have to stay on each of those things for 30 minutes a piece. The idea is to write it down, feel good about it, keep reading and go. That's not your meditation. That's just your reminder. Okay. Your vision board, same thing. You put it in front of you to remind yourself to visualize what is on that as part of your life and make that normal for you. That's what the vision board should do for you. And that's what people listen to or watch movies, or you watch a YouTube video with this short clip. That's why you need people like me to coach you, okay? Because there's always stuff left out Or you got to piece the whole thing together because maybe they did 50 other things that you don't know that they did. And that collectively is what brought to them what it is that they wanted. Not that it was hard work or anything for them to do it, but they were in a different state of mind. That way you don't get all frustrated and you're like, well, I did the same thing John Assaraf did. And I don't have what happened to him. I did the same thing as Jack Canfield did. I've been staring at this $100,000 check forever, and or dollar bill or whatever, and I don't have $100,000. Well, you didn't do what they did. You didn't reprogram your subconscious mind to accept that as normal for you. And there's more process than just staring at something or repeating strings of words. There's visualization and emotionalization and spaced repetition that has to go with it in order for it to be accepted by your subconscious.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, Liz. Any additional questions or comments for today?
It's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to my husband about that they always leave out pieces, like important pieces of information on those videos, because they always talk about, well, you have to do it a certain way, or you have to do, this or that. But then they don't go into full detail of what that is.
If you think about the movie, thanks, Michelle. You think about the movie, The Secret, if you listen to Bob Proctor, he's in the movie, The Secret, more than I think just about anybody as far as sharing his commentary and what lessons. Bob Proctor would actually sat with their crew and taught, I want to say 3 or 4 hours, but they only put in what they put in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And so did these other people. Okay. They all spent an hour or 2 or 3. They didn't spend 5 minutes and give a quote. They were interviewed deeply. And you've got a lot of people in that movie. Some, they only say like 3 words, 5 words, like Laurel Langmeyer. She's only on there 1 time. And she maybe has less than 30 seconds that she's talking, maybe 15 to 20. But that 15 to 20 came out of talking to her for probably an hour or 2. And so it's not that, how long would a movie be, and who would ever watch a movie that was 14 hours long?
Oh, wow.
But that's, some of the people gave a lot more content than got put into the movie. They weren't trying to hold it back. It was meant to create an awareness. That's what Rhonda Byrne was trying to do, is create an awareness that this thing exists. She never intended that the movie was going to be your instruction on how to make it all work.
Right, got it. Other videos though, like on YouTube and things like that, it just seems like there's a lot of pieces of information missing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I can't coach. That's why I coach people for 6 months. That's because I can't do it. You can't do a 3-day seminar and then leave somebody alone and they're just going to figure it all out. They might have a breakthrough. They might have some great experience, might even have their income jump for short term. But without the reprogramming of the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind is going to drag you back to where you were eventually.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have anything to share or questions to ask? Well, I appreciate you, all of you, spending time with us today. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Everybody, you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.